All right,
Just start with Adam.
we are back for week 12, I think it is now.
Yes.
Go over a few games from week 11 real quick. First of which, Saints beat the Browns 14-35.
Let's go.
Thanks to, in part to Taysom Hill having a day.
Yeah, that man he literally did everything. Like, he had 3 touchdowns, he had 100 yards rushing, he had 50 yards passing. This man couldn't be stopped. It's like the Browns just couldn't do anything. It's like they just let him walk right all over them. It was a thing of beauty. And I honestly I wasn't sure how this game would have gone. I wasn't sure which Jameis was going to show up, and it turns out the good Jameis showed up, but it wasn't even enough. Like, even for his really good day passing, still wasn't enough.
Yeah,
So,
it doesn't surprise me that as soon as Dennis Allen got fired, we're now 2-0.
yep. And surprisingly, we're now only 2 games behind in the division, which which we'll cover in a minute, because that just baffles me on what happened in this next matchup we're talking about.
Yeah, where the Broncos completely dismantled the Falcons, 38-6.
I guess my take last week about Sean Payne being the Falcon killer wasn't completely off after all. I'm just saying, like, Sean Payne
That's
still got it, but the way they just decimated them, it's like, ouch.
I
And
don't
I'm
think
enjoying every second of
anybody
it.
I don't think anybody expected to see that because the Falcons, like for a minute there, were looking like one of the best offenses at least in the league, and all of a sudden just completely dismantled.
I know. I don't know if the Saints just broke them, or they just had a bad week in general. I really don't know. Like, who knows what's going on with the Falcons?
I want to
Not that
see
I'm
stats
complaining,
for
but
this game just to see what the heck happened. Yeah, Kirk Cousins only had 173 and one interception. That's all he had. When did Penix come in the
yikes.
game? He was 2 of 4 for 24.
Oh, that's not any better.
Bijan
He must,
didn't do great, 12 for 35.
and
Ugh.
it's not like the Falcons sustained any major injuries on offense. So it's like, did they just forgot to show up? I don't know.
Uh, it's weird, man.
Like,
Meanwhile, Bo Nix, 28 of 33 for 307 and 4 touchdowns.
that I can't figure out. It's like that was Bo Nix, in my opinion, is like slowly starting to become a competent quarterback. Is he perfect? No. He still has his moments where he looks like a bad quarterback, but it's like over some course of time, it's starting to click.
He is getting
And
better
this
as he
game,
goes.
yeah, and this game against the Falcons, surprisingly, just blew my mind how well he played. He had like, what, 4 touchdowns in that game, I believe.
Yep.
Something, yeah, he did. So it's like, my goodness, like, I think if you give Bo Nix a few more weapons, maybe tweak that O line, watch out.
Yeah,
So
and for this next one here to mention from last week, what did I say? What did I say in the last podcast?
17 in
The
this matchup.
question is, are they putting up 50?
On the Jags, look, I mean, it's never a good idea to bet that a team can put up 50.
What?
Yeah, you were spot on there.
52-6.
They literally got the fire and damnation, literally, right, Will?
The Jaguars suck
Yeah.
They absolutely deserve it.
just for being division rivals.
Yes, Will does not care. They must get fire and damnation.
Yeah, every division rival needs to lose by 50 points a week.
Yep. For me, the Falcons should lose by 100 points every week.
And just a couple quick ones to mention here. I guess we should probably mention the Sunday night game because that was an interesting thing to see where the Chargers had a lead going into, I think, the fourth quarter of that game.
Hmm.
Sadly, I didn't get to watch it because I had issues with the TV, but
Oh no.
to see that the Chargers were slowly losing that lead as the game was coming to a close, and somehow they still pulled out the win. It, I don't know
Yeah.
what is going on in Cincinnati. The
It's
offense for the Bengals is playing the best that they have in a while. Joe Burrow and Jamar are looking like the best in the league for most of this, and they just can't win.
I don't know what's plaguing the Bengals. I keep saying defense, but it's like it's got to be more than just defense at this point because they got Trey Hendrickson, who's one of the league's top defensive edges, defensive pass rushers, that is. And it's like they're still not getting it done. It's like there's each game they played for the most part, they only lose by less than 3 points. So it's like it's got to be something wrong with them. Like I just can't put my finger on it. Like I already said, I want to blame the defense of the Bengals, but at the same time, it's like it's gotta be the coaching at this point. Like something's got to give. I just don't know what it is. So
Yeah,
and
and I believe part of the reason that they lost this was it 2 field goals that got missed toward the end of the game, if I'm right, that
I
contributed
think so.
to
Yeah.
it. It-
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah. It's not looking good for Bengals fans. Like it's clear they have an offense, but they just don't have that defense. They just simply don't. And part of me thinks it's like it's coming down to coaching. I don't know if they have the right defensive coordinator or even the right head coach for that matter. I don't know what's going to happen next for the Bengals. Give the Chargers credit where credit is due. Like they held it together to the end, even though they almost completely choked. But it's here's the wild thing: the Chargers started their first 6 games of this season 3-3. We thought, they're gonna be like a mediocre at best. They're 7-3, y'all. 7-3. And these Chargers shot out of a cannon out of random. It's like last year they were dog water. This year they're looking like one of the AFC West best teams. It's like it's crazy. It's like
Herbert
I can't
finally
get
got a
over that.
coach that works with him.
Well,
For real.
it's wild because you trade away Keenan Allen, you trade away Mike Williams,
Yep.
Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett. That is 4 starters that you trade away. And what'd you do in round 1? Draft 6'7" Joe Alt. A left tackle. That's how you spent your preseason, your off season, which is insane. Like Chris is saying that last year Dogwater started off 3-3 and now they're 7-3. When they later traded away 4 starters. Like, how does that even work? And you went and got, Quentin Johnston, who's finally looking better than, Droppy Hands McGee. Like, it's insane. Who are the Chargers? And is Jim Harbaugh, is he up for Coach of the Year? That's the question.
Honestly,
Like,
if
I
they
would put him
continue
up.
like
what are
this,
we
I'd say
looking
so.
at here? Yeah. Like, I think that's a question no one's talking about. Like, where does Jim rank in these for Coach of the Year right now?
He's got to be in the
If he's
conversation at this point.
Yeah, and he's number 1 in my book right now. I can't think of any other team, not team, but any other coach in the league that has done just as well as Jim Harbaugh. Like I, it's crazy how much of a turnaround the Chargers had, and I couldn't be happier for them because I really ruled them out early this season, and they're starting to prove me right 6 games into the season. And then next thing you know, they just shy out of a cannon, and now they're looking like a threat to that division. Now, of course, will they win the division? Probably not, because they still have the Chiefs to worry about. But yeah, it's exciting for Chargers fans. I'm sure they're just glad to be in a winning conversation at this point.
Yeah, it's nice to see, but I just wish the Bengals didn't have to suffer like this with their offense going the way it is. Let's move on though. We got 2 more quick to mention. Number 1, no longer undefeated. Kansas City got taken down by the Bills 30-21.
God. Thank God. Because all of us, I believe, last week picked the Bills just out of spite because we got so sick of the Kansas City Chiefs winning. And they finally met a team that was just proven to be too much for them. And that was the Buffalo Bills. Thank you, Buffalo Bills. So I believe my former CEO at Eurofins must be quite happy. So
It's not even out of spite that I picked them. It's just when you actually look at it, the Bills are much better put together than the Chiefs are.
Yep.
Somehow they managed to go 9-0 with the team and roster they had versus some of these teams. But when they play a real true team, their flaws and everything are exposed. Patrick Mahomes, 2 interceptions, late touchdown drive by Josh Allen running for 30 yards, trucking people. Like, that defense isn't it. Like, they played very poor teams, and it finally showed.
yeah, you're absolutely right.
And this is a stat that I remember them mentioning during that game too. Mahomes now has, I can't remember if this is it was something mentioned at the end of the game or like around halftime, because Mahomes did have an interception at the end of the game that ended the game. But I think they said that Mahomes had 11 interceptions through 10 games, at least one a game so far.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Mahomes. Like, he's been a turnover machine like crazy, and he's lucky that they had an adequate defense to bail him out for the last 9 games, except for this last one. But it's just like, at this point, if I'm Patrick Mahomes, I'll be questioning myself, what is wrong with me? Like, I just don't know what's going on with him. Like, he's usually not a big turnover kind of quarterback, but he's really throwing the ball recklessly these days. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't quite get it, but other than that, screw the Chiefs. Just glad they lost.
Yeah, that stat was from the end of the game. Now that I'm looking at it, because it says that he has 11 total interceptions, so 11 through 10 games.
That's insane.
And the last one to mention for the week, the real team of Texas, and it ain't one in blue and white.
Hey, you still them boys? I don't think so.
They ain't been
Not
them
only is
boys
their
all
team
season.
falling apart. Hold on. Not only is the team falling apart, the damn roof is falling apart. There is nothing going right in quote unquote Jerry world.
Yeah, just like their season, that place is falling apart.
Guess what, Jerry? Tear it down.
Yeah.
Start over, buddy.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys.
You know it's sad when A&M and Jake Paul have a win in that stadium and the Cowboys don't.
Pathetic. Send them to the UFL. That's all I can say.
Like, I don't know what the heck they expected. They did nothing to, make the team any better. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott, who is not helping them in the slightest, and they traded people away.
I don't even think Zeke got touches till the second half. They didn't even bring him in. They ran Rico Dowdle and 5'5" Deuce Vaughn like they were going to accomplish something.
Yeah. The Cowboys are straight up cooked at this point. And I mean, losing Dak was one thing, but even when Dak was playing, they still weren't winning games to begin with. And now they're just completely screwed at this point. It's just wild. Like Jose said, it's like they did absolutely nothing this offseason.
Despite Jones saying, "Oh, we're all in this offseason."
Right. And they did. Yeah, I take Jerry's word for a grain of salt at this point. It's like, you did nothing. You claim you didn't do something. You trade picks away, and this is what you get. Ooh, boy, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I would be seething right now. Like,
you want to know something? After these past few weeks, my cousin, who was a big Cowboys fan, finally said,
boy.
you know what? I'm done.
Ouch. Can't say I blame him. They ain't them boys no more.
The Cowboys are so bad. They fumbled twice on the same play. I just want that to be known. Once by Cooper Rush and once by the lineman who recovered and tried to run. That is how bad the Cowboys are.
They're in complete disarray, dismal, garbage, putrid, trash. You name it,
Doo-doo.
everything.
Everything. It is nice to see.
They got written off by the Death Note way too soon. If you catch my reference.
Names written down in the death note since the beginning of the season.
Yes.
But the Texans actually, looked the part after the past couple of weeks. Nico being back helped. But
yeah, they need him back badly.
My only complaint. Damn you, Laramie Tunsil. If you get one more penalty, I swear to God, this man has more penalties on touchdown plays than anyone in the league. First play of the game, 77 yards. Call it back because we got an ineligible man downfield. What are you doing? D'Amico literally said you practiced that play all week long for that specific reason, and you blew it in the first 5 seconds of the game. What are you doing?
do not let Will near that man.
I promise
Will-
you, I will accidentally hit him with the truck.
Accidentally, quote unquote.
That is my only complaint of the game. That, and it took us to the fourth quarter to score a touchdown. But for the most part, I was very pleased with what I saw.
It's just the wrong day to wear my Ole Miss gear, considering Larry Tunsil is a former Ole Miss rep.
That explains a lot.
I will burn you at the stake.
Oh no.
All right. Well, since
Anyway.
Paulo's still not here, no clue where the heck he's at right now. Let's move on to this week.
That man said to start without him. He ain't here yet.
Hey, we went for like
well.
20 minutes longer waiting for him, and he ain't showed up yet. So let's start with Thursday night football here. We got the Steelers going to Cleveland. This isn't a question. It's the Steelers.
Yeah, all day. The Steelers are now that team to beat in that division, but the Browns stand no chance whatsoever. Like you had Jameis Winston's best day, but you still only produced 14 points. Yeah, that's not going to win you a game. And the Steelers' defense is significantly better than the Saints' defense.
Yeah.
And that's me being an honest Saints fan. I know our Saints' defense isn't that good this year. But the fact that our defense held them to 14 points, can you imagine how many points the Steelers are going to hold the Browns? Yeah, good luck trying to score on that defense. Yeah. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if this might be a shutout. It probably won't. It's a possibility. Like
thinking about it though, yes, like this looks like it should be a blowout, but we are forgetting this is a division game.
That is very true. You never know. The Browns might decide, we're going to play some good football today.
I mean, look what they did to the Ravens.
Yeah, that is very true. But either way, it doesn't matter. Steelers still taking that W. I'm picking them to win by 10, and that's as high as
I'm going to go by a touchdown at least.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. But there's always the chance of upsets. But I mean, that goes for any team. But I just think the way the Steelers played last week, even against the
there
Ravens,
he is.
Thank you for your interruptions. Even against the Ravens, I think that it doesn't matter. Cleveland is definitely not as good as the Ravens in any aspect, even defensive wise, and it's shown all year. So definitely Steelers by at least 7 for sure.
Yeah. Paulo, I see you have finally decided to join us.
Back again.
He's changed his profile picture, I see.
What game are we talking about?
Steelers Browns.
Thursday
Steelers,
night.
Browns. It's gonna be the Steelers.
Right.
Better
Right.
offense, better defense.
Yep. Moving
All
on.
right.
Chiefs Panthers. This shouldn't be a question, but God, I wish.
Oh, the Panthers could have the opportunity to do the funniest thing, but we all know that's not happening. Chiefs all day. Chiefs will definitely bounce back after losing to the Bills. Panthers stand no chance, even after riding a 2-game win streak. I think it's a 2-game win streak.
I think so.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. They don't stand a chance. So Chiefs by 2 touchdowns in this matchup.
Yeah, it's the Chiefs. The Panthers have looked surprisingly decent lately. I don't see that continuing this week.
We smell like a blowout game, a blowout revenge game from last week.
Theoretically possible.
50 points.
I don't know about
I don't know
that.
about 50.
The Chiefs
have-
aren't that big of a
so you're
point-scoring
okay
team.
with the Lions putting up 50 against
They did,
the
though.
Jags, but the Chiefs putting up 50 against the Panthers is
Yes,
is a
because the
little-
Panthers
Yes.
are better than the Jaguars, and well,
Are they?
the Lions'
The Panthers'
offense
defense
is
is.
the Lions'
Oh.
offense is better than the Chiefs'
That's
offense
fair.
at
That
this
is
point.
true.
That's true.
And well, the Chiefs
the
may also be
Chiefs-
getting Pacheco back this week, so he is on schedule to play this weekend.
Good
Yeah,
for
but
my
the Chiefs-
fantasy team.
The Chiefs just aren't that team though. They'll win games and they'll look good doing it from time to time, but they're not like 50-point people.
No,
They just
not for sure.
when have the Chiefs ever put up 50 points?
Against the Lions, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah. And as we
Yeah,
were
that's
saying before we got into this stuff here, Mahomes has not been great this year. 11 interceptions in 10 games.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, even with all that, it's Chiefs are still going to win this game no matter what, because it's the Panthers. They stink.
We'll get the
Now-
voodoo ready.
Yes.
I will need Paulo's left foot.
Oh no.
All right, so it's agreement then. It's Chiefs.
Yes.
All right, and this one, me and Chris were talking about this before we started. This one is one I'm not sure about because on paper this should be the Vikings, but they have struggled against bad teams for the past 2 weeks, and out of those 3 teams, including the one they're going against now and the Bears have the best defense. So I don't know how this is going to go.
The problem is, can the Bears stop getting in their own way? Because that's what's killed their season so far. Is that their offense has stunk and they keep turning over the football. Their defense has been good. Nothing wrong with that. It's just they just don't know how to not get in their own way. So it's like I still pick the Vikings in this matchup just because they're clearly the better team. But at the same time, you just never know with division games.
Yeah, you got to
So-
remember, this is a Vikings team that scored 12 points, nothing but field goals against the Jaguars.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
just-
that's one game though, and Darnold threw 3 picks. You know, the Bears defense might be a better defense, but there have been games that it just hasn't existed. That defense has been nowhere to be found. No matter what the Viking struggles have been, the Bears have also been struggling throughout the year. You know, whether the defense doesn't show up or whether like 9 out of 10 times the offense doesn't show up. I mean, the Bears had a close game against the Packers this past week, but again, blocked field goal. And you know, you can say that's the defense of the Packers, you know, stepping up. But I mean, it's kind of been the same story for the Bears, like just offensively struggling no matter where, like what position it is.
Yeah, and like I said, what's making me hesitant with this is that we mentioned the Vikings only scoring 12 against the Jaguars, but then the following week against the Titans, another bad team right now, they're 2-8, 23 to I think it was 12. It said, if I remember right. I'd have to go back and look, but
I mean, that's a solid win.
it's a solid win, but that's against a team that you should be blowing out with the way you've been playing.
I mean, if
Yeah,
you
but they're
watch the
not
game or watch the highlights, they had pressure on Darnold the whole time.
they're not
The
the only
O-line
team
was
to
not
struggle
open.
against that secondary, though. Like, as bad as the Titans are, if you go back and look at a lot of their games, their secondary is what's doing it for their defense, and that's where the issue is. Like, Darnold's not the only one who's had an issue. Go back and look at past games and look at the other issues that secondary has given quarterbacks, which is wild. But at least the secondary's somewhat doing their job. It's the other 6 or 7 people on the field that aren't doing their job.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the pass rush there with Jeffrey Simmons and the crew for the Titans, like they were getting to Darnold a lot. He got hit a couple of times. He had, like 2 seconds to throw each pass, and I mean they still managed it. Like he still got some quick throws off, and they still won by more than a one-score game.
Yeah, I'm still gonna take the Vikings, but I don't expect this to be a blowout or anything. I think this one's gonna be close.
Yeah, it's very possible. I'm still taking Vikings by 7, but yeah, like the Bears could just decide to give the Vikings crap, and well, I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah. So is it Vikings around the table?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm taking
yeah.
Vikings.
Yeah.
And basing off of like what Paulo was talking about there with the Titans O-line, this next game, Titans at
D-line.
the Texans, or no, D-line. I was thinking of the Texans O-line and how bad it has been. That might be a problem for this game.
No, don't care. Titans, Smitans, trash Titans, don't care. Texans by 14. Don't even want to hear the nonsense. Nico's back. Joe Mixie 3-tutty game. I don't want to hear it.
I guess
Will Levis is trash. I don't want to hear anything. Absolutely nothing. We just picked apart the Cowboys defense, who is better on paper than the Titans. So I don't want to hear it at all.
I mean, better on paper, but not better all year at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, the
At any
Saints put
given
up
point.
42 on them or something like that.
The Browns should be elite on paper, but we saw how that went.
Yeah.
Don't care.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care either. It's the Texans gonna win. I will say that it's gonna.
Oh, CJ's gonna
be a
get
problem. CJ's gonna get hit, and he's gonna get pressured a lot. But I mean, the Texans are still gonna win the game.
Listen here, Laramie Tunsil. I swear to God, if you have one penalty this game, I promise you, I'm leaving the state of Louisiana. I swear to God,
Hey,
I will leave in the middle of the damn game.
You wanna make a bet that it'll have 3+?
Oh, listen here. I know where you sleep. The walls.
Yeah, it's right
I'm
next
in
to
your
you.
closet. Shut your mouth.
All right.
Getting dicey in here,
Moving
y'all.
on.
Did everyone pick?
Yeah, that's all Texans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Lions, Colts. There is no question. Lions are
day.
about to absolutely demolish them.
Yeah. They're not putting up 50.
No, but they're still winning.
They're still winning, but they're not putting up 50. This is going to be a little bit more of a challenge than the Jags, but that defense fights a little bit more than the Jaguars does. But
Oh yeah, because the Jaguars is one of the worst in the league. The Colts at least have pieces.
yeah, so no, for sure, still a win, but not even gonna. Poor Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about to get smashed on Sunday. Like, and it's not gonna be pretty, folks. Like, honestly,
I don't know if he will get. You're talking about like getting hit, like sacked.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I promise you 3+. I guarantee you 3+.
Hutchinson's
I'll
been
put it
out.
there.
Anzalone broke his arm.
Yeah,
that
Does it
defense
really?
is struggling with health.
I mean, I hear you, but at the same time, even with Hutchinson out and Anzalone being out, it didn't really matter. the Lions just have a really stacked good defense this year.
And even
So
if it's not somebody up, by the line, the secondary, Brian Branch is a ball hawk.
I'm not talking about the defense playing well. I'm talking about getting to the quarterback.
Well, yeah.
Like, I don't have any doubt that there's still going to be a solid defense. I'm just talking about, like, maybe they don't blitz as much with the injuries.
Possibly.
Wow,
I don't
fair
know.
point.
It's Dan Campbell we're talking about. Like, do you really think that changes
Send
anything?
the house.
I mean, no, but it
You know what I'm
should.
talking about.
Like, in theory, it should change something. But you're right. It is Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell on 4th and 20 on offense, 4th and 40, send the house.
Bite their knees.
Dan Campbell, please come back, coach for the Saints, please.
Why would he want to do that?
Yeah. That's not enticing to anyone.
Nah, he built that Lions team that's going to the playoffs. There's no
know.
way.
Possibly
I'm
the
just
Super
complaining.
Bowl at this point.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, yeah, it's Lions. Multi-score game, multiple touchdowns.
I
everybody,
got 4 touchdowns.
everybody in agreement there. The next one, we've discussed this one before. Dolphins Patriots. I have faith in the Dolphins here for this one.
Where's this game at?
In Miami.
Oh, yeah, it's Dolphins.
Yeah.
Especially this
Dolphins.
time of year. That does make a difference.
Yeah, the
Definitely
Dolphins
does.
just are a little more put together than the Patriots. The Patriots just they're not like we said last week. They're not quite there yet. Not by a shot.
They're
not by a
looking
long
better,
shot.
but they're still.
Yeah, they're still iffy in a lot of areas, especially on offense. So, and the Miami offense looks so much better under Tua, and he's starting to get his groove back again. As long as he doesn't hit his head or lose his head. Pardon my head
Or,
jokes,
try to make a tackle with his head like he did that first game back. I
guess
swear
he's
he's trying to get
hard-headed.
CTE at this point.
Trying. The man alrety has it. The man has it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What do you mean trying to get it?
It's like I gotta find that picture I sent in the group chat the other day. The CTE talking to Tua. It's the Green Goblin mask.
Yes.
Yeah, as well as Drake May has done this year, which, I mean, he's done very well. Every game's been better, it seems like. Yeah. The Dolphins just have too many weapons on offense.
Yeah.
Like, no matter where you look. I mean, Jonnu Smith has, stepped up big this year. His stats this year are quite insane out there in Miami, So, no matter where you look, they've got weapons. They're going to score. They're going to give up some points, but they'll come out on top.
I agree. I think the Patriots will put up a fight, but the Dolphins are the better team right now. You got so many weapons. You got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got Achane. I mean, even the lesser pieces are still having great years, or are still very talented. Like Mostert's still there. Jonnu Smith is having the best year of his career, even though he's been in the league for a hot minute. I don't know. The Dolphins. The Dolphins should be better than they are, but they're still good.
Yeah. Dolphins all around.
Yes.
Next up, we have Buccaneers, Giants, and a thing to mention with this game, no Daniel Jones. They pulled that man.
Not only did they pull that man, the man is 4th string behind Tim Boyle.
He was getting
which is kind
of
crazy. They're doing a little bit too much there. He's not worse than Tim Boyle.
They have
Italian
demoted this man to
Stalin.
4th string.
They have promoted the Italian
if you demote him that low, is there the discussion for the rest of the season and off season is does that mean he is now a trade piece?
Yeah,
I was talking about before the podcast, there are rumors now that the Panthers want him,
which actually feels legit with him being demoted to 4th string.
Yeah.
Because why else would you do that? Not for any strategic value. You gotta just be announcing that he's available.
Yeah. The only thing about this situation I don't like is that they gave the starting job to DeVito. Drew Luck earned 2nd string. All season long, he has been 2nd string, ready to go in if Daniel Jones got hurt. You demote Daniel Jones, and all of a sudden, we're gonna give it to DeVito.
You know what they're doing?
Are y'all that confident that DeVito is better than Drew Lock? Like that's
No.
y'all's best option?
That's not what they're doing. They're making sure that they lose. They want a
they would have
draft
just
pick.
left Daniel Jones in.
Yeah, yeah. Or no, not true. Because if they want to use him as a trade piece, pull him and put him for a string.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
And then put your third string in to make you have a better chance of losing these games, so you get a better draft pick and can use it on a QB.
Don't pick Jackson Dart Giants, please.
I told you, watch when it happens.
I hate it. I hate it.
I don't know why you're so against it, because look how bad Washington was before they drafted Jaden Daniels. And then they
Yeah.
got some pieces, and now they're relevant again. That's how it works.
Yeah, I hear you.
Look at
but,
Cincy before Burrow.
yeah, but here's the thing. Like,
Houston before Stroud.
not the dog on my good boy Jackson Dart, and I love him to death, being an Ole Miss fan. Jackson Dart is not C.J. Stroud. He is not Jaden Daniels. He's not a Joe Burrow. Is he a good quarterback? Hell yeah. But you throw him in with the Giants, I just don't see him succeeding.
Say hello to Eli Manning reincarnated.
You talk about
Eli won 2
multi
Super
Super
Bowls.
Bowl champ.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Eli in his later years.
Is that supposed to be like a negative thing? He won 2 Super Bowls against arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. Like
the Tom Brady killer.
Yeah,
the
literally.
Patriot Slayer.
Literally kryptonite.
I'm not
Future
saying it
Hall
would
of
be such a
Famer
bad
Eli
thing,
Manning.
but I would expect like similar things to how Eli was toward the end of his career for Dart to start out there. Because like we all know the Giants got issues, but the good thing is he has some good receivers there. They need a running back though. They need a good running back.
That is very
But that's
true.
the thing. That's the thing, though, is like if you trade away Daniel Jones and get a draft pick, wherever that may be, you're gonna have a high one anyway. So draft a QB. Like you've got a solid defense. You got solid receivers. Like you could also draft a running back, maybe draft another O-line piece.
I don't
And we're
even
talking
say
we're talking about this team being, relevant again next year if that happens. If QB plays decent.
Yeah.
scratch QB with pick 1. And I'm only saying this because Ashton Genty will be part of the draft. That's where you should be looking. If you're gonna tank your season and you do trade Daniel Jones and you do get a high draft pick for him, first round, depending on where it falls, Genty first, quarterback second. Because that is their biggest deficiency, is the running back position. I mean, quarterback is pretty bad, but running backs are not helping them whatsoever.
They won't do it. We're talking about the team that traded Saquon.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is very true. To a division rival,
Yeah.
by
Who
all means,
has
who's putting up
decimated them.
100 yards plus
Yeah.
a game.
Nah, they're going QB. I see what you're saying, but the Giants, there's no way they won't take a QB.
This will be the biggest fumble if they end up with the number 1 pick and they go QB when they are running back deficient.
I disagree because they weren't running back deficient before, and they still sucked because they had no QB.
Yeah.
They are really running back deficient now.
Yeah, but you could pick someone up in the offseason.
They won't. They didn't.
They could. They did. They got
And,
Singletary.
hey, Chris, I'm
And look
also
who he's
noticing a parallel there if Dart does get drafted to the Giants. Who was one of Eli's best receivers in his time there?
Oh, there was a lot of them.
A specific one from LSU, perhaps?
Rookie sensation that
Odell.
fell off.
Yeah. He's talking Odell.
Oh, that's right, Odell Beckham. That is right. He did
Another
thrive.
LSU and Ole Miss connection there. If that happens with Neighbors and Dart.
Which would be a pretty deadly connection, not gonna lie, because Dart has an incredible arm talent. And he can throw that, he can chunk that ball deep, and he's darn accurate with it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, we're all just like theorizing how the draft may go with Dart going to the Giants, and I mean the Giants, for all I know, could either take Shadow Sanders or Cam Ward of all people. Like you just don't know. So, or heck, they might even take Nussmeier for crying out loud.
They don't want
So, yeah, I wouldn't want him either. But that's a whole different subject there. But we'll see what happens when draft day comes by. So
Yeah. Back to the game we're talking
far.
about.
Yeah, what game was this again?
Buccaneers at the Giants.
This didn't
Buccaneers.
even need to be a discussion. That's the
No.
issue. I don't know how we got
No.
this far off tangent.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast. We do this every
Baker's
week.
getting Mike Evans back, Bucky Irving, Kate Otten.
Oh, he is getting Mike Evans back.
Baker for
Yes.
4 tutties.
rip,
Telling you.
Yeah,
rip
they
the
about to get
Giants,
lit
yep.
up.
So yep, taking Bucks in this one. Giants stand no chance. Now that I heard that information.
I don't think the Giants are gonna get blown out like that. I think the Bucks are gonna win, like pretty solid. But I don't know. I kind of feel like DeVito wasn't terrible last year. It's it shakes things up.
But Bucks are still winning. It's not changing. Next up, Cowboys at the Commanders.
Mm,
Don't even think this is a discussion.
mm-mm,
no,
it's not.
After what
Rip.
the Texans just did to him.
Rip
Jamie
them
can
boys.
It's gonna be another week of, I think, the Cowboys just getting the business from
yeah.
everybody.
And they're probably going to take on a really ticked off Jane Daniels after they lost the Eagles last week on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you saw the post game interviews, he was kind of taking it on himself, saying that he should have played better. Get ready.
Yeah, he's about to run all over them. In fact, it would surprise me if they're up by 2 touchdowns that day. So give me Commanders by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll take Commanders as well. Cowboys, there's nothing going on there.
Washington.
Mm-mm.
It's not even a question. All right.
Yep.
This one, after this past week, shouldn't be a question either. Broncos at the Raiders. I don't care if it's a division game. The Broncos are about to murder them.
Yeah, if Bo Nix plays the way he did against Atlanta, rip the Raiders. Yeah, they don't stand a chance. Like the Broncos have a pretty solid defense, and Bo Nix is starting to slowly come out of his shell. I expect it to happen again this week. Broncos up by, at the very minimum, I'd say they win by 10.
Yeah, I think it's a solid Broncos win. The Broncos, the Broncos did what they should have done in the offseason. They kind of started their rebuild / continued their rebuild. They drafted a QB, and they kind of just built from ground up. And the Raiders should have and didn't. They brought in Gardner Minshew. They should have, realized that, they weren't going anywhere. Let's start drafting pieces and developing them. And they just, they got Bowers, which is good, but they should have drafted a QB too.
Yeah.
What's weird about them getting Bowers, though, is the year before in the draft, they drafted another tight end.
Who is out
Yeah.
for the season.
Yep.
That's just wild, though, that you...
It's like a good thing they did.
Yeah, but it's
Because
wild,
Bowers is
though.
having a ridiculous season as a rookie.
It's wild, though, that they take a tight end one year, and then immediately the following year they take another tight end.
Hey, tight ends. Tight ends are hard to find, right? They're hard to find. Really solid
It's
tight
hard to
ends
get a good one.
across the
Yep.
league.
A lot of tight
look
ends
at all
that
these
are-
teams that have like mid-grade to mediocre tight ends. Like, when you find them, you find them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
But no, for sure, I think it's Bo
Broncos.
Nix is really starting to develop. That defense has been very strong, but they've had very poor games. But the Raiders aren't going to stand a chance.
No.
Like easy should be an easy win for them. Just replicate what you did last week against Atlanta. It's all you have to do.
Hey, no. Next up, we have Niners at the Packers. And honestly, I'm taking the Packers. I'm going to go Packers by 3 in this.
This is a hard one for me because, like, the Packers could probably win, but at the same time, the Niners could also probably win now that they got Christian McCaffrey back. I know he hasn't, like, completely like shot out of the cannon yet since his injury, but this might be that one game he does just that. But I think I might go with Jose. I think I'm gonna take the Packers as well.
Well,
I,
I'll be
I don't know.
different.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna take the Niners. I mean it is tough because it's two good teams going up against one another. Um, and like you said, Christian McCaffrey hasn't really popped off yet, but I kind of agree with Chris. Like this could be the game he does it. Like he's coming off of an injury, he hasn't played for a long time. He's gonna pop off one of these games and get back closer to where he was. And every week that we think he isn't is just kind of testing fate a little bit. I think he has his best game since he's been back this game. You know, um,
Yeah.
I think that the Niners have a great O line. I think their D line is good. I don't know. The Packers would have lost to the Bears if they didn't block that field goal, and that just doesn't inspire me with a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
My
I hear
thing
you.
is the first game we saw for the Niners against the Seahawks. It was not pretty for Seattle. But this past week, they turned it around. And Seattle actually ended up winning that game. It feels like the 49ers are just like, you don't know which team you're getting.
Well, I'll pull the card that y'all like to pull sometimes. Division game. Don't matter.
Well, this is not a division game, so
No,
Well, he's
I
talking
know,
about last
but
week.
that's the
uh,
reason that the Seahawks were able to win last week. Division
gotcha,
game.
gotcha.
But
My bad.
Yeah, yeah. Damn you Niners for making me look terrible with my call. And Jose, you can't really say that Seattle turned it around. Gino ran in last minute, scored a touchdown. That's not really turning it around.
well, by that I'm
That's
meaning they didn't
Seattle,
get blown out. Like last time, it was not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, did they get a little bit better? Maybe. Did they get lucky? Maybe. I wouldn't call it a turnaround per se, but
I'll just say they
yeah,
played better than they did the first
yeah.
matchup.
But
But
I still think it's the Niners over the Packers.
first one we're split on. I think every other one we've all been in agreement there.
Yep.
Next up, we have Cardinals at Seahawks.
This,
And
I think. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh,
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say. Anyone else? I think this is gonna be a pretty good classic showdown between two division rivals. The Cardinals, strangely, are in the division lead as of now. So this is kind of like the fight for the division here. So it's like, um, but I'm kind of giving the Seahawks an edge just because I just can't trust the Cardinals enough. Because they've been kind of like up and down, up and down.
Yeah,
Maybe they
we've talked about how inconsistent they've been plenty
yeah,
of times.
and the Seahawks, they're kind of like no better, but they're at least a little more competent. They just had some bad games here and there, but I just feel like I trust the Seahawks more, and plus they're at home too, so that kind of gives them a bigger edge as well. So I'm taking Seahawks, but only by 3.
I'm gonna agree with Chris. It is harder to trust the Cardinals just because they are more up and down. Like the Seahawks haven't always, showed up and been consistent, but they've been more consistent than the Cardinals have. Seahawks are home team, they're coming off of a win against a good team. Um, I don't know. I think it is a close game, and I think the Cardinals have the potential to win, but I'm not 100% confident that the Cardinals are going to show up. I think that the Seahawks are just overall a more balanced team. They got a good 3 wide receivers as their starters.
Yep.
They got a good running back. Gino's been playing pretty good for the most part. It's easier to trust the Seahawks, so I'll take the Seahawks.
I'm gonna say the same. Up to
Can
Well,
agree.
Oh,
well,
Can agree.
all right
we're
then.
on agreement.
And now for Sunday night football, we have Eagles Rams, and honestly, as good as the Eagles have looked, this one might be close, in my opinion. because
Yeah,
for
'cause the
whatever reason, the Rams play differently in primetime.
Yeah, you're not lying there. And the Rams, they got their receivers back for one, and they just look like a different team with Cooper Cup back there and Puka Nakua also back. It's just like they're just a completely different team than what we saw a few weeks back. It really goes to show that how much those two receivers really mean to the Rams, and they could potentially give the Eagles a lot of fight. But I'm still picking the Eagles in this matchup just because they're the more superior team. And but it's not going to be an easy win. I think the Eagles will win by 3, but it's going to be a struggle.
I'm taking the Eagles as well. I don't know how many weeks ago it was now, but as soon as they figured out their issues, they kind of just started running and haven't looked back. And I don't think they've lost in what, like 6, 7 weeks at this point.
Something like
Like
that.
that.
I don't know. Like the Rams are better with Puka and Cooper Cup back, but they're still not an elite team. They're still not what I would consider a Super Bowl contending team. You know, we just saw them lose to the Dolphins not long ago, and the Dolphins don't have the best defense. Like it's solid, but it's not the best. And the Rams still didn't look like really good. Um, I think that the Eagles have a better offense and defense than the Rams. You know, offense is debatable, but I think Saquon puts them over the edge.
Yeah.
I think that the Rams will put up points. I just don't think it'll be. I think they lose by like a touchdown, maybe. Like I don't think it's gonna
I
be
expect
like
them to give them
down
a
to the
fight.
wire. Yeah, I think going into like the last 10 minutes of the game, it's gonna be, you know, a lot of people thinking that the Eagles have got it in the bag. I don't think it's coming down to the wire or anything.
Yeah. Will.
Yeah. Uh, no, I think that the Eagles' defense is a lot better than the Rams' defense for sure. I think that's the deciding factor. Is that defense is going to hold up like better than the Rams' defense will. But I do agree with Paulo. Like that last quarter, that last 10 minutes is going to be that's the deciding factor. That's going to be the give or break for the Rams. But it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a close one. I don't think this is a runaway by either team.
No.
Yeah, not by a
Even
long shot.
even with like both teams have weapons. Like Kyron's having one of those years, where week to week, like he'll have a very good week, 100 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and then the next week he's got 60, 70 yards, no touchdowns. But and then you got Saquon on the other side, who's just absolutely running over whatever team they play. And then both teams have top tier wide receiver 1 and 2s. Like this is just a matchup of offenses and whoever's defense is going to hold. But I think it's the Eagles for sure. I think the Eagles do come out on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Right then. Last game of the week, and there's a good reason this one is a Monday night game. Ravens Chargers. The brothers face off yet again as head coaches.
The Harbaugh Bowl. Gotta love it. This is probably going to be a very interesting matchup. The Ravens are good, and so are the Chargers, surprisingly. So it's the way I look at this game. The Chargers have a pretty solid defense. In fact, I think their defense is better than the Ravens' defense, to be honest. Because while the Ravens held the Steelers last week to 18 points, it still wasn't enough because the Ravens had trouble trying to get through that Steelers defense last week. I think they'll struggle again this week, honestly, because the Chargers, while they're not as good compared to the Steelers defense, is still pretty stout. So I'm going to be bold with this one. I'm going to pick the Chargers over the Ravens this week.
See, my first instinct is to agree with you, but I have to stop myself because I feel like I'm buying into the recency bias again with the Ravens coming off a loss and the Chargers, basically ending the Bengals season this past weekend. Like I think if the Chargers played like they did and the Ravens played like they did, I think the Chargers could win. but I'm too skeptical to not pick the Ravens because I've seen
get
in
it.
multiple games how Lamar and Henry have just torn through people's defenses, and I know the Chargers defense is pretty good. I don't know. It's hard for me to think that they're going to struggle on offense 2 weeks in a row. So I think it'll be a good game, but I think I have to take the Ravens, even though like I
Here's
kind of want to take the Chargers.
here's my thought process with this. How many times have we seen these two go against each other as head coaches before? Back when uh, one was a coach for the Niners.
It was
I don't
pretty
know.
close.
It happened a lot, but more often than not, Ravens won.
This is true.
He knows his brother.
I don't know that really makes one team superior to the other just because.
I'm just saying, he knows how his brother thinks,
After all, they came from the same mother.
and I'm giving the edge to the Ravens because of that. In addition to
Interesting
their offense being a little bit better than the Chargers' offense. It may be a close game, but it all depends on how the Chargers' defense plays. Because, like Chris said, Ravens' defense hasn't been great, especially I think in the secondary. Their pass defense is not too great this season. But I'm still taking Ravens.
Will, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking Ravens. I'm not even going to question it. I see what you're saying, Chris. Like the defense has played well, but and as good as Chase Brown has played this season in the absence of Joe Mixon being traded away,
We're not talking about the Bengals.
I am so confused.
Will on a different planet. Oh my!
I was like,
no,
Joe
I
Mixon,
know what
what?
I'm talking about. Yes, hey, don't get me off talking. Wait a minute.
You talking about
last
last Chargers game when they played the Bengals?
Yes,
Is that what
as well as Chase Brown has played this season, in the absence of Joe Mixon, the Chargers defense has not seen a combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry at all this season between any quarterback and running back duo. See, I knew where I was going, but y'all all threw me off.
My bad. I should have let you finish.
I knew
You
exactly where I was
confused
going.
us. What the heck?
So
like,
I don't think that defense by any means is ready. They can study as much film as they want, just like any other teams this season. You're not stopping a 6'4", 6'5" Derrick Henry, who is bulky and just going to run through you, and you're not stopping a shifty Lamar Jackson as much as they study film. Like, unfortunately, it's just no team is ready for that because either one of them is going to run for 100+ yards, and that's the issue. And even if you do stop them, we've seen Lamar get better over the years at getting the ball to his receivers. He's got, Zay Flowers is having a good year. Rashad Bateman's having a good year. And Mark Andrews, who is some games he looks like the old Mark Andrews, even with that, bouncing back from that injury. Like, you may shut that down, but Lamar has gotten better over the years about being a passing quarterback when he needs to be, when he realizes he's not going to be able to run the ball like he has in the past. So, yeah, I think it's easily the Ravens thing.
Right, well, I'll be the odd man out.
So this is the one of the only two I think we've disagreed on. It's
Yes.
Niners Packers where we're split, and then Chris is the odd man out on the Chargers.
Is that really it?
Yeah,
Is that the only one?
everything
Yeah, I'm the
else
only
we
one.
agreed on.
Oh. Wait, what about the Seahawks and Cardinals?
I'll
We
pick
also
the
had
Seahawks.
Hawks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then that's it.
Well, that'll do it for week 12. I guess no episode next week because Thanksgiving, and I will not be home to record. But we'll go ahead and post the picks when it gets close to that time. Until next time.